I love junk radios, and this one probably qualifies. I think I picked this up at I don't remember exactly where, flea market or Hamfest or something. Still got the $20 tag on top of it. I think I paid 10. I never pay what's marked on them, so I know I didn't pay 20. But it's pretty rough shape. A lot of rusty scars on the front of it. But all the knobs are there. And none of them have pieces broken out of them. Um, the inside is just about as filthy as any I've ever seen. There's dust and dirt on everything. All the tubes are there. Don't know whether they're any good or not, but they're there. The top is all rusty. This one is going to be so much fun. I'm looking forward to this one. As I said, this SX71 Hallicrafters is going to be fun. When I opened it up, one half of a mica cap fell out. I mean, that's a mica type package. There's the other half still in there. And the guts I haven't seen unless this was in there, but this looks like a regular old paper cap to me. It don't look like it came out of there. So I don't know. Doesn't matter. I'll replace it. Bottom side not quite as dirty, but there's an electrolytic. It's been replaced. Don't see any other paper caps that's been replaced. Here's this electrolytic here has been replaced. This is an interesting. There's a wire that comes off of the BFO switch and is tacked on to a resistor. It goes over here. Don't know what that's all about. Most of the paper caps are still in it, the originals. I think this right here is a crystal. I ran into one of these before in I believe it was a Hickok tester. And it's actually a dual frequency crystal. It's got 3 terminals on it, if that's what I think it is. I haven't even looked at the schematic of this thing to see how it is designed. I think it is a dual conversion receiver. And it does have 6 meters on it. Which would be kind of neat. Backside about as bad as any other side. AC cord's already been cut off of it. It's rotten. So, first thing I'll do is check the power transformer. If the power transformer is bad, then got a total different situation to deal with here. I've got to redo this panel, and to redo it I got to take it off, and to take it off I got to get the knobs off. And these things were dogs. As most of you know, they use the little Bristol slugs, and I have a set of Bristol wrenches, but a couple of them came off easy. A couple of them I had to play all kind of games with to get them loose. I had to soak them in penetrating oil, and some of them I had to heat with a soldering iron, and finally got them to break loose. But these two main tuning knobs here, they didn't want to come off at all. And I was able to get, I think, this one right here off with a reverse drill. I couldn't, these slugs, I tried to drill the slugs out, and I don't know what those slugs are made out of, but it would just eat my bits up. I mean, the bits wouldn't cut it. I don't know whether they're stainless steel or what, but anyway, I was able to back this one out with a reverse drill bit, and this one up here would not come loose. I couldn't get, nothing I tried worked. So what I end up having to do is this shaft goes through and comes over here, and this flywheel mounts on the back of it. This flywheel, there's two set screws in that, and they come off. Well, once the flywheel comes off, the shaft still will not go this direction because there's a little C clamp right there. There's another one right there that's still on it. That's what keeps it from going back and forth on the front panel. So take this one off, and then this shaft will slide out the front of the radio. I had to cut the tuning string that goes on this, and I hated to, because this was the one that was working. The other one didn't work, so I'll have to restring that. So anyway, I've got the knob off, and still got the problem that the little set screw is in it, and I don't know, I'll have to get it out somehow or another. I've done this before, I could re-drill right here, just re-drill a new hole all the way through, tap it, and put a new set screw in it, and that might be what I have to do. Although this set screw is, I had to really manhandle this to get it off the shaft, because that set screw is still in there and tightened up on the shaft. Probably take my Dremel tool with a little grinding bit on it and grind it down inside of there if I chose to just drill a new hole and put a new set screw in it. So anyway, the joys of working on these old radios. I've got all the knobs off of it, and I've got all the nuts that go on these other shafts, so it's ready to come off. I'm already making money off of this restoration. When I took the front panel off, a nickel fell out. Nickel's dated 1971, so radio must have been operating around 71 at least. Couldn't have operated much after that. I unplugged the 5Y3 and checked all the windings, and the power transformer seems to be fine as far as resistance measurements. So now I'm going to unplug the tubes and check some of these other coils. I've got to replace this send receive switch. You can see the handle is broken off of it, and I searched around in my junk box and I found this one, which is going to be perfect. The terminals are laid out exactly like it has to be a single pole double throw, and so this is going to be just perfect to replace it. And the handle matches the originals exactly. It's kind of long. Lucked out again. I finished recapping and re-resistoring this SX71, and took out those modifications, whatever they were. A lot of it I had to rewire back to the original schematic. I hope I got it all right. I had a lot of wires, even some wires unclipped from different places. I had to figure out where they went. And I replaced the CW or the BFO switch up here. I restuffed this can electrolytic. Done a lot to it. Here's all the caps and resistors. There are, let's see, 4, 8, there are 13 caps, 16 if you count the 3 in the electrolytic filter can up there, and exactly 30 resistors. Strange thing about this radio, usually the high values are the ones that drift, and on this radio most of the 1 megs, 2.2 megs, and all within spec. It was the lower values that, and I'd say I replaced 90% of the resistors in this radio, so a lot of resistor replacement. But it's all recapped, and so what I'm going to do now is set it up on a bench, hook it to a variac, and bring it up and see, make sure it don't smoke. Well, I was wrong. I thought I was ready to set this up on the bench. Thought I had recapped everything. And then it hit me. This little second converter box, the whole second converter circuit is inside of this box, which is mounted on top of this chassis. So I looked at the schematic, and in there are 3 or 4 or 5 resistors. It looks like all the capacitors are low values, probably micas or the little tubular ceramics, which are usually okay, but there are resistors in here, and what I'm finding on this radio is 90-some% of them are out of tolerance. So I'm going to have to pull this box off of here and check the resistors in that box and make sure there are no paper caps or anything in it before I can set this thing up on the bench. I've already put the tubes back in it, was ready to set it up, and it hit me. So go do that. Okay, to get that box off, first of all, there are 3 1/4-inch sheet metal screws on the bottom that hold it on. But before I can take it off, there's 2 pieces of coax. One comes out of that box and goes to V4, and the shield is soldered to ground, and looks like the hot lead comes over here too. Not sure which pin that is, but the other one goes all the way back over to the band position switch, and fortunately this one, the shield is not connected, just the center conductor, so you don't get a ground loop. I think that's the only one that, it's actually this one, but either way it's that one's got to be disconnected over here. And then there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wires coming out of there that's got to be unsoldered from wherever they go to. Have to mark those and label them, so I'll make sure I put them back in the right place. I hate these little boxes like this, but it's got to be done. Well, I got this second converter box off and got it open. Hadn't been opened since about 1954. But anyway, there are 6 resistors in here. The capacitors should be okay. They're all ceramics or micas. They should be okay. But I'm going to check these resistors and make sure they're okay. I'm sure I'll have to replace all or some or all of them. Well, I resistored that second converter box. All the wires come out of this hole right here except for one. This one over here comes out of a different hole. And I've mounted it back in there. Good thing I did it because 4 of the 6 resistors were way out of tolerance. I mean, one of them was like almost double what it was supposed to be. So good thing I went in there and did it, and I hope I got everything back right. So I guess now we can plug it up to a variac and let's see what happens. Well, we got it on the bench. Got it plugged into the variac, so let's see what we can do here. Uh, 41 volts, we're drawing about a quarter of an amp. The pilot lights are starting to glow, all 4 of them, so that's a good sign. .71 volts, 0.37 amps. Pilot lights are looking good. So far so good. I don't crank it up a little more here. Alright, that's 98 volts, half an amp. I'm going to let that cook just a minute. Got noise in the speaker. This meter changes when I run the RF gain up, so that's look like ABC circuit's working, and my dial cord slipping on the tuning capacitor, so having a hard time tuning across the dial to see if anything changes. I don't know what band it's set on. Let me turn this off a second and get something so I can change this band switch. Well, I let it sit, and all of a sudden I started seeing what I thought was smoke and so I cut it off. I didn't film that, but brought it back over here to the other bench, and I checked all the voltages. All the voltages seemed to be fine, and now I'm not seeing any smoke. I think what it may have been was some of these, you know, I took soap and water and cleaned all these tubes, and same thing on the chassis, and I think some of the components were probably heating up normally, and whatever was on them was causing a little steam or smoke or whatever. Because right now it seems to not be, and I'm actually receiving some something on the AM band, but it's not performing very well at all, so we've still got some work to do here to get it going. I don't know what, with all the modifications that's been done in this radio, somebody may have been using the golden screwdriver on it and got the alignment way off, but I really can't align it until I get these. I got one dial string here that's broken, and another one that needs to be redone because it's slipping real bad. So I'm going to go to work and restring these dials first so I can be able to set the dials where I need to set them. Then I'll start an alignment and see if maybe that's the problem, and we'll go from there. The crystal phasing variable capacitor was loose on the panel. It's enclosed in this little shell here, and it was just shaking inside of that shell. So I wanted to fix that, wanted to tighten it up. The screws on the front that screw into it to hold it, they didn't react well. They just wouldn't turn. Whatever was behind them, I thought, well, probably it's a loose nut back there. So anyway, I put my fingernail under it and worked them out. And when I got it out, see what's wrong. This variable cap is actually broke in two. So now we got to find something to take the place of that. Check the schematic and the parts list. They don't tell you what the value of this is, but I think I can figure it out here in a little bit. But anyway, got to dig in my junk box and see if I can find something to replace that. I dug around in my junk box of variable caps. This box here is all variables with no shafts. I got another big box that have shafts on them. I've already gone through that and nothing I can use. Probably most of you people that do this kind of stuff have got hundreds of these, been cut out of old radios or whatever. And this is the exact variable cap that's in that radio, except these don't have shafts on them. And I picked out a couple over here that were not all soldered together on strips like those. So what to do? JB Weld to the rescue again. So I took this little variable cap and put the two ceramic halves back together, put the two little inserts in it where the screws go into, and I've JB welded it back together, and it seems to be just fine. The plates don't seem to be touching. So now I'm going to have to let this dry about 48 hours. And but I think I'm going to go ahead with some of the alignment. I ought to be able to do some of the alignment without that crystal phasing thing being in operation.